Hey everyone, welcome back to Low Luxury, and today we were going to be doing a review of the Louis Vuitton Spring Summer 21 menswear show by Virgil Abloh, and we will still do that, but we really can't do that without also diving in depth on these new allegations against Virgil that he is a copycat and has somewhat directly plagiarized from the work of Antwerp 6 designer Walter Van Beirendonck. Now, I have to admit, I really wasn't familiar with Walter before this incident, and that is something I really regret because now I've looked at his stuff and it is so good. So we're gonna look at this collection still, but we're also gonna dive into those pieces, look at some comparisons, and see if these allegations have merit. Spoiler alert, they do. Virgil, you got some stuff to answer for. All right, so without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, the first look is this really simple tan suit. I feel like Virgil had an opportunity to start with a bang here, and he really didn't. Like, it's super boring, and I guess it has this kind of lobster tail to the back, which is cool. Single button, it looks like, which is also a good style. That is my preferred style for a blazer, but just white dress shirt underneath, some black patent leather shoes. Like, it's a very boring look. And then we get a black coat over some black pants, another white or maybe pink dress shirt underneath. This one, it's nicely tailored. This one looks good. It's got some movement to the bottom. I like the way it kind of flaps around, but beyond that, again, very blah. Like, start off with something more exciting next time, please. And now we get this kind of double-breasted suit, single button going over. Again, that's a cool style. Double-breasted is a really good look as well, so I'm glad to see that. But again, so plain. I mean, I'm sure there are customers for this, or else they wouldn't be making it. I'm sure there is a lot of cachet for a lot of people to have a Louis Vuitton suit, but beyond that, there's nothing to write home about here. Now we get into some of the good stuff. So now we've got a crazy cutout suit. It's got all these strips taken out of it. Of course, with both Louis Vuitton and Off-White, Virgil has played a lot with this concept of air and creating kind of spaces for air, holes and cutouts and things in the garments, and he's continuing that here. It kind of reminds me of like a geode or something where you got the crystals shining through because you've got a kind of white suit underneath. Or maybe, this is going to be a super specific reference, but kind of like when you're in a lava world in a video game and all the rocks, they have the kind of crack lava coming through. I hope that makes sense. I think it does. And the bag is cool as well. Honestly, a lot of the Louis Vuitton bags, they're a bit boring to me, but this one is a really cool, like, twisted bag, and it's in hot pink, really striking stuff, really just odd stuff. It almost looks like a dog carrier, but twisted, so that's pretty cool in and of itself as well. The next look continues that in a brown coat, and again, it's a strong concept that carries well here. Now we get into a fur coat, a really nice long one. Again, some nice movement to it, but it is a fur coat that we've seen a million times before. I'm sure it's super expensive. I'm sure it feels great to wear, but there's nothing new there. And now again, playing with that concept of air, but this time in a hoodie. And this one's super wearable, super accessible. I could see this selling really well. You know, if I had the cash, I would buy one myself. It's in a really nice kind of blue-gray colorway, so that one is a very strong look. And now we get this kind of hot pink military jacket jumpsuit thing, and this is a silhouette that really doesn't do much for me. It's kind of got tons of these oversized pockets, and then these fitted trousers with the military shoulders, and this is a look that's really just played out. Like, LV has done this a million times, Gucci has done this silhouette, Balmain of course has done this silhouette, so there's nothing new here other than the color, which is striking, but is also a bit much. Like, it looks a bit cheap to me when you put it in that hot pink. And now we've got maybe the most beautiful look so far. So it's this incredible gradient ombre suit, almost spray paint splattered as it gets down to the bottom. And it's got this really great matching softbox as well with it that goes perfectly. So this is a really great tailored look. It's reminiscent of those early looks, but now there's something different to take it to the next level that brings it to that luxury place that we want to see. Next up, we've got a duffel coat. Again, this is a very classic luxury style. I do like that it has a bit of chunkiness to it. That's very cool. But with Virgil, he has so many ideas and he's willing to try so many out there things that I want to see more than this. Next up is a very simple kind of military jumpsuit, kind of prison suit type of thing. Really boring. We're just going to move on from that one. Next we get this crazy brown monogram, like shearling collar coat. I'm sure this costs like $6,000. The monogram on that, I'm assuming it's leather. It gets a bit lost, and I think there are better outlets to use that monogram, but it is a very beautiful coat, I will say that. Now we get another fur look, but this one it has more shine to it, and it's in a bit more of an oversized silhouette with these strong shoulders, and this is all it takes. This is what I'm asking for, because this is taking that classic luxury fur that we saw before that was kind of boring, and that's taking it in a slightly new, more modern direction, which is what we want to see. Then we get this kind of fur-bodied jumper, sweatshirt type of thing, and I like the shine to it, but I've also seen this silhouette. Prada has done this many times before, and I'm just going to move on from this one because I don't think there's much to write home about here. Next we get another fur coat over a suit, and I like the oversized nature to it. It's starting to puff out, but again, nothing that special to me. These tailored looks, a lot of them are pretty forgettable. Now we're getting into the kind of sparkle section, I would say. So first we've got a kind of bomber type jacket thing over a tailored trouser, and they've got these maybe leather strips coming down. It's very Alix to me, but with the glitter, it's a bit cheap, but it is also a nice element, and I agree that this look needed something extra, but is that something extra a bit of glitter thrown on it? I don't think so. And then we get it in a dress shirt, and this one, again, it needed something extra, I get it, but we also just saw this with Versace in their Spring Summer 21 presentation, the video that they did, although, again, those are the same season, so they couldn't have really been copying each other, and that season from Versace also had some looks that were very reminiscent of Off-White, so it's kind of an Ouroboros tail eating itself type of thing, so I don't even know what to say about that. And now we get into the sky section, right? So maybe one of the most striking pieces that Virgil has done in all of his time at Louis Vuitton was this sky suit, and he's coming back to that here. So first you've got it in this jumpsuit with a sweatshirt and trousers, maybe sweatpants or track pants, and it's a great look. It works super, super well, and when you match it with the bag, it's just a really good, complete look. Now you get in a coat. Again, Issey Miyake has done a very similar coat, except with the pleats, so taking it to another level, but it's a very strong coat, a really strong look. And that little bag that he's carrying, I'm not super familiar with that. Bags aren't really my thing, but it is a cool little look, very women's wear inspired, I would say. I'm not sure if that's a new one for this season or if that's a reinterpretation of a bag that has existed previously, but I do like that. And then we get it in a suit. And this one, it's actually bringing in a lot more of the white, and it's almost in stripes across. The pant is almost entirely white. The jacket has a big section across, and it's very, very airy feeling. Of course, sky makes sense. Airy feeling, sky, yeah, great thinking. But it's true, And that is a really, really strong suit and a really strong look. And you're pairing it with some sneakers. The Louis Vuitton sneakers, honestly, are nothing to write home about for me. They've never excited me, which is crazy because I usually really like a lot of these luxury sneakers, but to me, a lot of them read as just kind of rip-off Jordans. So why would you buy a $1,000 pair of Louis Vuitton shoes when you could buy a $150 pair of Jordans? Moving on. But when you pair the suit with the sneakers, it's a good pairing, even if the sneakers themselves don't really do it for me. Now we continue that sky motif, this time with a beautiful bomber jacket. This is really, really nice. A light blue bomber is always a good look. And then when you put that sky motif, it's almost Trois Paradis, obviously a very small brand that some of you may not be familiar with, but they also do a lot of kind of sky bird motifs. And this isn't totally pulling. I'm not making an allegation of copycatism here, in this case at least, but it is a strong motif. And then we get it in more of a work uniform, along with this kind of duffel keep-all bag, and it's got the LV monogram kind of appliqued in there in some way. So there's a lot going on here, maybe too much, but I appreciate that he's going for it. There is so much to appreciate here. This little kind of apron bag, like, almost makes him look like a waiter or something across the waist. Like, there's some really cool elements here that maybe when you put them all together is too much, but any couple on their own create some really cool stuff. Now in this look, we've got some very striking like neon yellow Gatorade shoes. I don't know what to make of those, but they're paired with a very boring suit, so I get why they did it. They needed to elevate it in some way, and they did it with some really loud shoes. And now we get into a puffer coat. So this is really reminiscent to me of two designers, and that would be Moncler, of course, and Balenciaga. So Balenciaga has done that crop jacket a lot. Also Pierre Moss. So honestly pulling from a few places, but in this case, again, I'm not going so far as to call copycat, because I don't think anyone has complete ownership of something cropped. I don't think anyone has complete ownership of the idea of a kind of shiny polyester puffer jacket, although the references are there. And Balenciaga, I will say, that is coming in the kind of exaggerated shoulder crop, because they were doing a lot of that in puffer jackets in recent seasons as well. But this shiny gray color, it's almost translucent, I think is a great look. And now here is where we start getting into the touchy area, because this is the section with the kind of companion plush appliques. So first here, this one isn't that out there or that bad yet. So we've got this blue suit with the teddy bear kind of stuck on there. And this is the piece that's transitioning us into this section where things get much more crazy and much more dicey. Moving on, we've got a scorpion here, very Ryan Gosling in Drive, which is one of my style icons. I might say a bit dated at this point, sure, but still very much a strong style inspo. Again, going with that neon yellow in this next look paired with the blue. It's a good color combination, but without the colors, the pieces are nothing to write home about. And here we've got a suit with this monogram patch, and that feels a bit lazy to me, the patch, but here is where things are getting really crazy, because do you see these glasses with the one eye that's kind of off kilter and asymmetrical? Because this is one of the looks that Walter Van Beirendonck has previously done. So let's take a look at that, because if you look at Walter's pieces, sure, his has some eyelashes on them, but that is a really weird silhouette for some sunglasses. And Virgil, I will say, he knows so much about fashion and about designers. Like, I was just reading this piece on the New York Times about the designer from Band of Outsiders many years ago and his transition into kind of direct-to-consumer activewear. And they interviewed Virgil for the piece, and he was like, he knew the guy instantly, even though it was years ago and he's moved on. He hasn't been in the fashion scene, but he knew this guy, he knew his work, he knows all of these designers, so he knows what he's doing. And these sunglasses are piece for piece, proportion for proportion, really almost identical. And here we've got a black suit with this pink kind of companion plush, huge on the side. And this is another one that Walter has previously done. If you look at this piece where you've got a kind of little buddy latched onto this guy from the side. And this isn't even the worst of it. It does get even more blatant. Here we've got a kind of damier black and gray suit. And this look, it's nice, but it's a bit much. I think as a suit, it's too much. If those pants were jeans and that jacket was maybe a different fabrication, it'd be nice. But as a suit, I don't think it totally works. And now we've got this big oversized silhouette, again with a companion here, which Walter also did. This time you can see it in red here, and this guy is right off on the side. But again, a somewhat oversized silhouette here with this guy latched on. I don't think it's coincidence. Now we've got some of that damier pattern shoes. Again, that's a strong shoe. I like that fabrication for that shoe, that pattern for that shoe. But that patch here, it's another thing that's tacked on to kind of make it special because there wasn't something making it special before, and I don't think it's enough. Next, we've got this crazy biker jacket in this twisted psychedelic checkered pattern, and if you didn't do that stretching and warping of the pattern, it would look very ska, and that would be way, way too much. It would remind me of being 12 years old, way too much in a bad way. So I'm glad they did that because it just takes it enough over that edge that it is a bit more wearable and it works. Next up, we have a red work suit with a black tie. Super boring. We're moving on. And another companion piece. That's what I'm going to call these because it just kind of rolls off the tongue. Let's go with companion piece. So this one is a really cool leather jacket with a red kind of, shearling collar with a peak lapel in there and the guy tacked on. This one feels a bit more original to me because it's done on a new kind of piece that Walter didn't do. So I'm going to let this one go, and I think this is a good look. The glasses, though, again, not good. Now we've got a blue coat, very nice, but without the color, it would be nothing. Now doing this look with shorts is really strong. So the tailored top with the companion in the damier pattern and then the shorts and sneakers, you've got this great juxtaposition of all these different ideas, and that is something that really passes muster for me. Now another full damier piece, this time in a coat and paired with some black trousers, which again is a nice pairing, and I think that works better. But the bucket hat, that's something that Walter has done too, the oversized bucket that kind of starts to cover the head. So even that in its own way is a bit too far into the appropriation plagiarism realm for me. I think we're seeing a bit too much of this damier pattern, and again with the matchy-matchy pants and shoes is taking it way too far. This next one, I'm really curious to know what the fabrication is of that coat because it has a weird little wrinkly bubbliness to it that really hits me the wrong way. But the color, it works really well with those shoes. The hot pink pants are just a nice little pop of color to take it over the edge. So that I do like, but I wish the fabrication on the coat was something different. Now we're getting a bit psychedelic, and these are some of the strongest pieces of the collection for me. So this one is a really nice coat in this kind of plaid. It's a bit Vivienne Westwood to me, a little bit Craig Green as well with these really wild sneakers, and that's just taking us into this really strong section of the show that I'm really excited to get into. Next we've got that same pattern in a matching suit. This lapel is insane. It's very low and it pops out right under the breasts, I would say. And with these chunky patent leather shoes and really oversized kind of scarecrow bucket hat, that is a really cool look that I'm honestly jealous of. Next up, this coat is absolutely incredible. So you get the kind of charm monogram print pattern in this crazy peacock psychedelic acid green, right? And with these kind of neon green sole patent leather shoes, it is a full look. It is reading 1969 acid test craziness, and I'm here for it. Now, once you get into the green, it's a bit much and also reminiscent of this Balenciaga sweater that they did last season. The colors are very similar, and from a distance, they read almost identical, even though the prints were very different. But I feel like I've seen it before, although, again, very strong. And if I saw someone walking down the street in that, I would say, you go, dude. Now we've got this neon green look, and it's so neon that you can barely tell what's going on, but I do like the color blocking between the black and the neon with the tie as well. It's holding a little companion, which is nice, but I wish I could honestly tell what was going on because it's honestly tough. Next, the neon continues. Skinny jeans, those look really good, honestly. But then this jacket, we've seen a few different versions of it, so let's move on. Here we've got this patch on the pants, which again is just kind of lazy to me. It's an excuse to charge more for simple dress pants, I'd say. But when you get up, you get to this awesome sweater. So this is a very classic, old school, like pre-streetwear streetwear. So like the Shanjan Fubu Bugle Boy, Rockaware vibes, kind of 90s New York City club culture. Very cool. I could see Palace doing this now, but this is kind of elevated. Of course, you've got the monogram in there. It's a beautiful sweater. So again, here you've got the companion. So I am going to leave him be because we've already gone over that and we've gone over why that was just a bad idea. But I do want to talk about this jacket because it is a beautiful mix of hard and soft. So it's kind of this biker jacket, which normally would be a leather, and that's a very hard style. But then you do it with this kind of soft, maybe polyester puffer coat material, and it's this amazing combination. And that is something new and something I'd like to see more of. That combination of hard and soft is so strong. Next up, we've got this intarsia knit graphic sweater, and that design is honestly disgusting to me. I can't stand it. I don't know what it is. I don't want to know what it is. Now we've got a little blue suit. Cute. Next we get the crazy pattern, checker pattern, warp checker pattern in a jumpsuit, and this one with the light blue is much stronger, especially because you can pair it now with that neon, and it works super well. It's a lot as a full look, but it looks super cool at the same time. Now kind of coming back to the psychedelia a little bit, but you get to mix it with that light blue and the damier pattern in the black and white, or maybe it's black and gray. The companion is kind of like a flamingo this time. Leave it off to the side. We've talked about that. It's not good, but it's really cool. It's a good fit of the jacket too. I like the cut of that. It's really interesting. Now we've got a white double-breasted suit, and I like it in white. I wish the maybe shoes were a different color. With the bucket hat, I think it's too much. This was a suit that maybe could have stood on its own, actually. Of all the ones that they did let stand on their own, I think it's weird that they didn't do it with this one. I like these oversized sleeves on this neon jacket in this next piece, and putting it over this white suit is a very cool look. With a green tie, I like the different color combinations here, and the bag. It's just kind of a simple purse with the strap flailing around, but it gives it some extra movement along with the back of the jacket, so I'm here for it. Now we get a cool double-breasted, maybe car coat, something like that. And I do like the pattern. It's a bit Vivienne Westwood. Again, to me, I'm seeing more and more of those pulls, but that's a very strong designer to pull from, and also one that's not plagiarism or anything. It's just kind of a design element. Again, paired with the neon and the damier bag. Next, we've got a leather jacket in a kind of light brown, very strong shoulders here, which I like, and I like this dress shirt underneath that's poking through. I wish I could see more of that, but the color combination, that green and that brown, go great together. It's a simple look, but a good one. Next up, we get this really hideous sweater here. You've got the stars over the nipples, which is awful, and this fringe kind of scarf wraparound coming in underneath. It looks like a really bad interpretation of like J.W. Anderson or his Loewe, and I think you just gotta leave that with him because Virgil does not do it well apparently. And here we've got a very playful rainbow leather jacket. It's something I'm sure people will buy it. I personally, if I was spending that much on a leather jacket, I don't know if it would be this rainbow one, but as a look on the runway, it's very cool. It's very childish, but in an almost kind of Thomas the Tank Engine way. Here we get this crazy like bodybuilder looking coat, and this is one of the coolest looks of the entire collection to me because it's so just nonsensical. Those huge shoulders and bust coming down to this tiny waist. The proportions are all wrong in the best kind of way, and it's kind of taking the best things from Balenciaga. Obviously, they do it much more often, and it's much more part of their design ethos, but hey, Virgil can play with it and have a good time, and I'm here for it. Next up, this one, the sleeves are pretty cool on that black shirt. The sunglasses, leave them in a ditch, but the pants are pretty cool. So they've got this almost kind of cross-hatch zipper there, and then you've got red underneath that comes up over the belt loop area. And then you also have that red coming down under the hem. I'd be interested to get a closer look at those, but I do think that's a pretty strong trouser there. And here we have a very large, very colorful companion on this kind of black coat here, very embellished coat. And this is another look that Walter, I would say, has done previously, this time with that bucket hat that we've been talking about, the kind of scarecrow hat. Again, Walter, I think, did it better. In the Louis Vuitton show, it feels kind of like an embellishment done to just make things more interesting. With Walter, it has a bit more design language to it. Here, again, here's that hat, exactly what I'm talking about. It's just too much on this suit. The zip up, that's cool, I like that. The patch on the sleeve, again, a bit of an afterthought, as is that hat. And here we get a gray coat with this very oversized blue collar, and that's a bit much. It's kind of Elmo put through the wash a couple too many times. Like, it just feels like a bit too frizzy out on the sides, but it is a cool cut and a cool idea. And here we've got a really interesting cut on this blazer. It kind of tightens at the waist in an interesting way, and you get these slightly peaked kind of shoulders with this line coming through there, almost like the lines on an action figure or something for their arms if they have the movable arms. So I like that look. We again get those damier shoes and this sweater, which is one of the most blatant Walter ripoffs, I will say, because he also did it in a very similar color, that cream here. Except Walter's, again, more interesting, I think, with that sleeve coming over the back of the neck. It just seems to have a bit more of a point of view to it. And now we get this sweater, which I think is one of the most accessible and wearable looks in the entire collection. It is this light blue hoodie with these exploded Louis Vuitton checks and the logo print down at the side. And I could see tons of people buying this. It's almost like an LV starter piece. Of course, I'm sure it's as expensive as anything else in the collection, but I mean that because a lot of times the first thing somebody buys from a brand, they kind of want it to have that logo so they can show that it is that brand. So I think they'll sell a ton of these. Another Walter look, this time in white. And now a neon jacket, nothing to write home about, although there's this almost like floral watermelon color shirt underneath that I wish I could get a better look at because that looks interesting. Now we get a really big companion kind of teddy bear on this one, but the coat I do like with the waistband going around. It kind of tightens it so that it then flares out at the bottom and gets some extra volume to it, so I think that's strong. Now these are some interesting kind of drop crotch pants. It's got some movement in the crotch there in an interesting way, but also this sweater, it's again that kind of warp check pattern. And the monogram here is in an interesting place, a bit higher than you'd normally see it. And it looks like the cut of the sweater, unless it's tucked in, it may be tucked in. That could be an elasticated waist, which is again very interesting there. So very cool stuff. Now we get this leather jacket here with a short, and this one I like because the patch there, it's with a short, so that's two unique elements that I think take it over the top and become more interesting. And now we get a green work uniform, quite Prada-esque, but I do like this look, and I was less high on it in previous iterations, but sometimes a better color is all it takes to put something over the top. And here we get this zip-up blue jacket, which is pretty cool. I do like the cut of it, again with the horrible rip-off sunglasses, but then you get this really hideous kind of flannel check print coming out the bottom. It's almost like Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, wraparound flannel shirt tied around the waist, but it's just too much and it's ugly and tacky. Again, this green psychedelic print, again with a companion. Although it is a cool jacket, I like the oversized collar. And now we get this kind of peach look, and this is a really cool jacket. So you've got a kind of double-breasted fold at the waist and this almost branded scarf in the same pattern coming in underneath. So there's a lot of elements here that are really cool and really interesting. Here we've got again the damier pattern, this time in a double-breasted coat. In the pants, it gets so small, that print, that it starts to hurt my eyes, so I don't really love this here. And again, I'd say that Walter did a similar cut in red, and it's got some more interesting elements to it once again. And then we get the final look, which is a very simple white suit with, I think his name is Zoom, kind of a blow-up, wacky, inflatable Zoom that he's carrying around his waist. And maybe after all the craziness that things got into, we wanted to end with a crisp look, but all in all, it's quite a boring way to end things, unfortunately. But that's kind of that. Alright, so that's the review of the Louis Vuitton Spring/Summer 21 menswear show, along with a little deep dive into those allegations of plagiarism. Thanks for watching. Watch the other video on screen here, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you next time.